Okay, so Assalamualaikum and hello to everyone, especially for Dr. Rashid. So today, me, Santafikur Rahman, and Cheng Lei would like to present about China foreign direct investment in Sri Lanka. Okay, so I will start with the demographic of Sri Lanka. Okay, so Sri Lanka is home for 22.1 million people. 90% of Sri Lanka people is literate, and then 70% is internet savvy. And then from the Human Development Index in 2020, uh, Sri Lanka has an index 0.782 and ranked in 72 countries among 188 countries. And then poverty headcount reduced from 41.7% in 2016 to 37.40% in 2020. And then the unemployment rate is 5.5%. And then next is the economic of Sri Lanka. The GDP is 82 billion in 2020, and then the GDP per capita is 3,679 US dollar. GDP growth rate 3.6% in 2020. And then the composition of GDP, which is first the agriculture, 7.7% from GDP. The industry, 27.4, and then last is services, which is 58.24%. And then the export revenue itself is 12,000 at 12 billion US dollar. Okay, so first, what are the Chinese investment in Sri Lanka? Over the decade starting 2005, China has emerged as the leading sources of official development assistance, or we can call ODA, and foreign direct investment (FDI) in Sri Lanka, which approach 14 billion. Most of it is ODA in loans and grants, 12 billions. In sector like energy, infrastructure, and services, there is private Chinese investment too. It's around 2 billion and growing. Okay, so first, this is the list of China's investments towards Sri Lanka. The first is Belt and Road, or we can say BNR, is short for Silk and Road Economic Belt, and 2001st Century Maritime Silk Road, proposed by Chinese President Xi Jinping in September 2013, and October 2013, relying on China and related countries jointly build a political, economic, and cultural community. And then the next is Hambantota Port Development and the Colombo Port. China's flagship project are the Hambantota Port Development and the Colombo Port Project, both supported by loans located at strategic points on the global sea trade route. Much of the infrastructure project funding comes through Chinese government companies. And then next is the Norochochai coal power plant. The 1.3 billion Norochochai coal power plant is being built by China Machinery Machine Corporation. Loans comes from the China Harbor Engineering Company Ltd and Sino Hydro Corp. And then the last one is Huawei. Huawei is large private investment is a large company of telecommunication equipment manufacturer. And then Huawei has entered Sri Lanka in 2005 and now is the second largest player in an estimated 20% of share of the smartphone market. Overall, China's FDI has clearly overshadowed that other countries in other nations. In 2005, China's FDI into Sri Lanka was 16.4 million, or just under 1% of total Sri Lankan FDI. By 2015, China's private investment reached 338 million, consisting of 35% of Sri Lanka's total of FDI. In contrast, the Netherlands share of FDI was 9%, and then Malaysia was 7%, and finally Singapore with only 3%. Okay, so next is the free trade agreement between Sri Lanka and China. Beijing and Colombo needing to sign a free trade agreement, one which has been negotiated since 2014. The lower tariff will enable China's product to penetrate deeper into Sri Lanka's consumer market, and then widening China's already huge by 3.4 billion trade surplus. With that country, Colombo is already in debt to Beijing to the tune of 9.6 billion, given at interest rates of between 2% and 5%, and falling behind repayments. Okay, so next I will pass to Cheng Lei.
Okay. I will talk about what are the advantages of the investment in Sri Lanka. The number one, Sri Lanka has a macro investment suitable for Chinese investment. The Sri Lanka government's contentious policy support and the legal protection for foreign direct investment. Almost all industry allows the foreign investments, and there are no restrictions on income and another aspects. In addition, the China and the Sri Lanka relations are very friendly and has a long history of the exchange. The number two, the fast growing the emerging market. The Sri Lanka per capita GDP has reached $3,400 per year in item of the per capita purchasing power, making it the country which is the highest per capita income in South Asia. In addition, the company can also enter another market through the Sri Lanka and enjoy the preferential tariff policies. The number three, the good human resource. Sri Lanka has enough and cheap labor resource, which is very suitable for labor-intensive industry. And number four, a lot of the investment is needed to improve the infrastructure. Because of the war, a lot of the infrastructure was destroyed, which is very attractive to constructive entrepreneurs. Okay, next page. Next page is the risk of the investment in Sri Lanka. The number one, the policy on attracting investment is not implemented properly. The some preferential policy because of the government's economic problems. They often fail to fill the preferential promise for foreign companies. The number two, the electric price is too high due to the imperfect power in impact power infrastructure in Sri Lanka. High electric price have crossed the income in production cost. The number three, corruption. According to Global Corruption Perception Index report published by Transparency International in 2010, Sri Lanka ranked 91 out of the 178 countries, which is 3.2. The number four, the legal relations. Sri Lanka trade units are too powerful and often structure for the political reasons. Okay, this is my part.
Okay, so I think that's all from us. Thank you for watching.